Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're going to take a break from Star Citizen this week, and I want to take a look at another sci-fi themed experience that I've recently been playing, and that actually just really took me by surprise. Now, it is in fact an MMO. It's an MMO called Wildstar that you're seeing here. Wildstar is a game that I put off pretty hard for a long time. I had the chance to get into the closed beta several times over the past couple months, actually over the past year, and just kind of blew it off. Was like, yeah, it looks pretty, but I really just don't care. It doesn't seem like it's going to do anything that's going to make me give a damn. And yet, I decided, after Elder Scrolls Online, being extremely disappointed with that, it was something that I thought was going to be, had a chance at being really good, at being what it could have been, what it should have been, something that could break the mold of the boring, generic MMO, standard that everything seems to follow, and yet it wasn't. It was just Elder Scrolls The Ride, I guess is the best way you could put it. So, when I had the chance to hop into Wildstar just about a month ago, I said, you know what, let's do it. That's not my style. I usually don't just blow off games. If I have the opportunity to play them, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to see what I think of it. And I was pleasantly surprised. While Wildstar isn't some major groundbreaking MMO that changes the way we play MMORPGs, it does a lot of small things very right. And it also has a very interesting world. It's a very nice place to be. Much like Guild Wars 2. I believe I said this reference in the past when I talked about the Elder Scrolls Online. Guild Wars 2, again, not super groundbreaking. The combat system was very great, actually. And it had a lot of really cool, new and fresh elements. The way we looked at questing, and obviously a very pretty game. And at the end of the day, it was a very nice place to be. And that is the same way I feel about Wildstar. I actually went out and bought Wildstar. I pre-ordered it. I haven't bought the digital deluxe edition, because that's how much I enjoyed my time with the beta, and that's how much I'm enjoying my time right now. This is the medic, though. This is the medic class. Now, the reason, I guess, for making this video, I don't think I would ever do constant Wildstar content on my channel. Maybe if it was something that everyone all of a sudden, really liked seeing an MMO again, but I know a lot of people are burnt out on it, like myself. I really was disappointed with a lot of MMOs in the past, and for some reason Wildstar has just taken me in. It is going to have a subscription fee. But here's the thing about the way the subscription fee is going to work inside of Wildstar. Let me start walking towards a quest here while I'm rambling on. So let's go. Oh, where's this road? Let's follow this road. Right, down this way. Okay. So it is going to have a subscription fee, which usually isn't something that I completely agree with. Elder Scrolls Online, instant turnoff for me. I might have played the game if it had no subscription fee, but the fact is, I didn't find anything special about it. There was no way I was going to pay for a subscription for that game. What Wildstar is doing, though, is something similar to what EVE Online does, which is you can actually pay for your subscription with cash that you earn in-game. So basically that means if you buy Wildstar, okay, you pay for the buy the game, $59.99, you get 30 days of free game time. There's a good chance that if you actually enjoy the experience, you're going to spend enough time within that 30 days that you will most likely be able to pay for your subscription maybe in 2 or 3 months. So basically you're going to pay for maybe 1 to 2 months of subscription. After that, if it's a game you really enjoy, if it's something that you're really going to be playing, which is what MMOs are about, you're either into them or you're not going to have to pay for it anymore. You're going to be able to pay for it with your own subscription. Now, don't take my word for just how many months and just how long you'll have to play to actually be able to earn enough to pay for a subscription. But when you look at something like EVE Online, the people who are dedicated to the game, who want to continue to play it, don't pay for it. And I think that's actually a very intelligent system. It's almost like a hybrid, idea on what NCSoft did with Guild Wars, where they were like, let's just not have any subscription fee. But what I think that's done for them is definitely some lost profits that they could have benefited from. Because now you have people who are playing the game consistently who aren't paying for it, and that's fine. Because those people in the Wildstar system would still not be paying for the game because they've spent enough time with it. But when you have people who come up randomly and decide to give the game a try, in some sort of a trial format, you are losing some sort of profit, some sort of revenue, I guess you could say, from a person like that who, decides to play the game for just several months. And yes, well, I know there's the side of things where you can just look at it and say, well, yeah, that's why should we have to pay for just several months? We're just trying to try the game out. And that's what trials and stuff like that are for. But I think from a business perspective, which, I'm sorry, you just always have to look at it that way. Companies have to make money at the end of the day. And, the issue I had with the Elder Scrolls Online compared to Wildstar is they know that game's going to make an absolute ton of money just because of the name. ZeniMax, they know that. Bethesda, everybody knows that. It's going to make a boatload of cash just straight off the hard copies, and then they're going to suck a lot of people into playing that MMO for a very long time with the subscription fee, until of course it goes free to play, which I can almost guarantee will happen with that game. Go ahead and quote me on saying that, and if I'm wrong, I'll buy a copy of the game. How about that? That's you can take my word for it, I swear. If I'm wrong, I will buy a copy of the game and I will play it for at least a month with a paid subscription fee, but I don't think it's gonna last. Wildstar, on the other hand, here it kind of has a small following currently. I don't think as many people know about it as should, and I think if you were a fan of MMOs in the past, you played a lot of World of Warcraft is a good example, and you're looking to get back into MMOs again and you want a good reason to do so, I think Wildstar is that reason. It's, again, a very interesting world. It's got the sci-fi setting. It's just a nice place to be, and it actually does a lot of small things that great MMOs in the past have done. For one, this game actually has housing. It's actually going to have housing, and it's not instant-based. It's actual housing in the real world, and you can customize your house. There's a ton of customization elements, which is something that people who play MMOs are huge. That's one of the reasons you play an MMO. The vanity side of things is actually a really big aspect of MMO, making your character look exactly the way you want to, and you can do that same thing. There's actually a customization system for weapons, for mounts, as well as for your house. So a lot of cool stuff going on here. Now, I should probably start explaining some of the combat systems, because these are actually also really unique elements to Wildstar. It's not just your standard generic, World of Warcraft based combat system, and it's almost like Guild Wars in a strange hybrid way. So essentially, players and enemies use telegraphs. Let's go ahead and attack this Muddy Brook Ripjaw here, and I'll show you guys a little bit of that. So you can see the telegraph being casted onto the ground. That is basically showing you what my ability is going to do here. Oh man. And he just used Disorientate on me, which is reversing my key controls here. Oh, there's a telegraph. No, get out of the way. Now, you've seen telegraphs and things like this before inside of other MMOs, inside of games in general, where you see an enemy cast the ability. Bosses in past MMOs like Guild Wars and World of Warcraft use telegraphs to help players understand when they need to get out of the way. But those telegraphs are usually really straightforward, to the point where it's like, if you get caught by one, what the hell were you doing? You were basically just standing in a circle. The telegraphs inside of Wildstar are dynamic. So different enemies as you get higher into the game. Initially it is relatively easy, I will admit. I think it was actually a little bit too easy initially. But once they start throwing you into the higher levels, I'm at around level 9 and 10 now, there are dynamic telegraphs. So the telegraphs that you're attempting to avoid will change on the fly. We'll see if we can actually get one of these guys to do that. They're not really a super high level threat here, so they're probably not going to have the best set of telegraphs. What this guy does use, though, is Disorientate, which, like I said, reverses your controls. He's then going to attempt to use a telegraph. Let's see if we can keep one alive a little bit longer this time. Let's go for, we'll just heal ourselves if it comes down to it. I am playing the medic class, so you may be wondering what the hell is he attacking with. Those are actually defibrillators. Interestingly enough, the game does a lot of really cool and interesting concepts like that, in terms of the weapon design, character design. I think is very well done. Let's back up, see if this guy will bust out a telegraph here. You do have a dodge ability. Okay, so there's his telegraph, which is actually an AoE and a dot effect, so you can see that it's damage. And there's a lot of really small details in the animations in the game as well. It's a visually impressive game. While it may not look like it, it actually does require quite a bit to run on a PC. I understand it is in beta, things will get better, but there are a lot of particle effects, a lot of fancy effects going on that make the game a true joy to play visually. Alright, so let's actually see if we can't hunt down a little bit more powerful of a guy here. Now the quests, they're broken up. There are a lot of quests that are just like killing animals and things of that nature. I would say it's very similar to Guild Wars in the way that the quests work. They do a good job of breaking it up, and at the same time they add a little bit more to the questing than what Guild Wars does. There's a lot of really cool story-based quests that have you, just doing some really cool event where you're maybe calling in a giant monster to destroy catapults. That was one early on that I played that I thought was very interesting. Here's another great example. I've actually been stunned. So I have a little mini game that pops up. Basically, I have to tap F quick enough to break out of the stun before I become stun locked, and then he's going to be able to do ultra damage to me. Now, there's a lot of moments like that in the game that I've been running into. It seems like as I move through Wildstar, again, I'm only at level 10, the game is constantly introducing new mechanics, not just for my player class, but for the way that you play the game in terms of combat and just your general questing experience. There it was a dynamic telegraph. And what you just heard was a challenge begin. So this is another way that Wildcraft spices up your normal questing. You will randomly get challenges. Sometimes they're just collecting butterflies. I know, right? Crazy. Or, in this case, we have to kill Darkloom Moody's in Darkloom Hollow in the allotted time. So we have 5 minutes, roughly, and we're at 11% right now, so we're going to want to hunt down more of these Darkloom Moodies. So we have to find these. I believe we can just kill any of these Darklooms, and they're actually going to count because they're considered all Darkloom Moodies. So let's go after the Shadow Root here. See what kind of a telegraph he's running. I'm not going to go too crazy into my individual abilities because, again, guys, I'm just trying to... Oh, wow. That's a interesting AoE thing going on here. You know, I'm not trying to complete... Wow. Okay, hold on a second, guys. It's getting serious. The combat does become very difficult, and when you start actually facing off against multiple enemies, again, you're going to have multiple telegraphs being laid down. And, again, they're dynamic, so they're changing on the fly. And engaging more than 2 enemies sometimes can be very, very rough. You gotta love that, though. Double kill. He actually says triple kill. I've never gotten more than that. But yeah, I'm not going to go crazy into detail talking about my actual abilities and things of that nature. That's something I know that the hardcore MMO fans would be more interested in. What I want to do is really just demonstrate to you guys why the game can be so enjoyable, what it does different from your normal MMO. Of course, once again, I think it's one of those experiences without playing it, it's going to be hard to portray that. But I'm going to do my best to try and help you guys understand why, if you're interested in getting back in MMOs. I'm not saying that this is going to pull in people who don't care about MMOs. Definitely not. If MMOs aren't your thing, I highly doubt you're gonna find find Wildstar interesting. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But you know, it's probably a far cry, a very rare chance of that happening. Again, the small details in the game really are what kind of bring its personality together. You actually saw that when you kill when you kill things, sometimes depending on your ability, you sort of do a little insta-game and they turn it into like cuts of steak and beef. It's a very small touch, but it's very interesting. Let's go ahead and use one of our AoE abilities here. Hit him with the stun. So, in terms of the classes, though, there is a pretty wide variety. I think this is the class system, and the way the classes work is also a very interesting aspect in Wildstar. Because, again, it goes back to a lot of the old school RPG MMO elements. You actually have a secondary class, which is your profession. Not a profession, I'm sorry. I forget what they actually call it, but basically you have a choice of scientist, soldier, settler, and explorer. And each of these, you put you in your own guild, which then you have you doing these individual quests. I've chosen the explorer path, so if we take a look over here, I actually have a couple different missions that are available through that. One is like a scavenger hunt. We actually have staking claim, and then we have the exploration aspect, actually discovering the world. Now, each of the classes can actually reach different areas that the other classes can't reach because of their special ability. So as the explorer, I can actually use my explorer skills, open up a hidden area that I can then go explore, maybe gain loot, maybe gain some sort of reward, a title, and at the same time, people who are in my group can actually benefit from that momentarily. So if I open that up and they're with me, they can come right on through with me. So there's actually a lot of work going into making a point of making it worthwhile to play with other people, other classes, other professions, other jobs, whatever you want to call them. Let's take these guys out quickly. Come on, what do you got? So these guys are all rather, oh wow. They don't mess around, but they're rather kind of weak. They're not really a extreme threat here. I don't think we're going to complete that challenge either, so we'll let that fail on. You guys can get an idea. Small detail, if you actually put your mouse over the enemy, you get an idea of what rank they are. This is a challenger. XP award is actually low. So this guy's not really a difficult fight. You know, they're not going to award me with a ton of experience for that, and that's fine. You know, it's a good way. If maybe you see some sort of an animal or a monster that looks like a boss, and you say to yourself, you know, maybe I should take that guy out, and then maybe you say, nah, screw it. So what do we have here, actually? Let's take a look. This is an interesting quest. So, again, they make use a lot of these key press things. They're not always just tapping. Sometimes you actually have to sync a set of buttons similar to Guitar Hero, interestingly enough. It's very, very strange. But let's go ahead and scare some of these guys. I guess that's what we're doing. Let's scare them away. Oh, we freaked them out. So there's a cooldown on that little ability. And we actually are stunned, stuck in the mud here. Whoa. He's got some big time AoE. Alright, let's see if we can scare this.
Challenge failed.
Challenge failed. So, the challenges, should probably talk a little bit about those since I failed it. Oh wow, we didn't actually get that guy. You can retry them once you failed them. Again, they're completely, you know, random. They just pop up sometimes in the middle of quests when you engage it with a certain enemy, when you run into a butterfly. There's a really big variety of the challenges, and I find that they break up the sort of normal questing grind that the game actually does a pretty good job of avoiding, I would say. It's very often the quests have some really interesting elements mixed into them, similar to what World of Warcraft tried to do over the last couple expansions, you know, having missions where you're like piloting a mech suit or a robot or a mining piece of armor or a drill or a plane, you know, something. They've done a good job of trying to break that up. Take this guy out. This game does a pretty good job of that as well. If anything, it does it in a far more interesting manner, I would say. I guess, let's see here. What was I gonna say? So we showed off some of the telegraphs. Again, they get more complex. I think it's a really great damage system in this, or combat system. There we go. Let's run over here, scare some more of those. Oh, he's coming for us. I guess we'll take him out. Oh, that's an interesting attack. I like it. Now, when you face off against mini-bosses, they're the same way in the game as well. Oh, thank you for participating in this week of the Protostar sponsored beta test. Enjoy this complimentary costume piece to spice up your wardrobe.
I await your words. We must speak.
So one of the other great things that you just noticed there is I actually have a phone call. I basically have a set of comms, I guess you could say, a radio, where I can contact quest givers and actually complete a quest without having to run back to them. So the game gets rid of that time, a lot of the time sink aspects. They don't want that. You can tell they don't care for it. It's not what they want their MMO to function on. Instead, they've just done a good job, I think, in scaling experience and levels and things of that nature. You seem to go a lot further on less levels, I guess would be the way of saying it, compared to other MMOs. And there's a lot less time spent wandering. In fact, if you pay attention to the quests and you actually know where you're going, you almost never have to do any backtracking at all, which is really nice. Instead, the game is more interested in pushing you forward through the different areas, introducing you to the different monsters and the characters and the environments, and seeing just how beautiful the game actually can be. Now, this is a bit of a grimy place we're in, but again, the detail here is wonderful. It's a very, very nice looking game, and it's a nice place to be, which is, again, one of the most important parts of these type of MMO experiences. So let's see what we have here. We can enter the Dark Loom hole. Let's go do that, because that just sounds interesting. Let's be honest here. Is this the Dark Loom hole? There's the Dark Loom hole. Oh man, I thought it looked bad outside. That's really grimy in here. Ooh, what's that thing? Oh. Alright. We got this. It's all good.
Double kill.
Double kill. I love that. It's such a nice touch. Such a nice touch there. Let's see what this is. What's this? Dig. Nope. Let's dig it up. Come on. Alright. So, again, like I said there, it's a good demonstration of what they've tried to do with the quests. It's not completely grindless, I guess you could say. Not every quest is like story-based and mixed-based, but at the same time, that would probably get old really quick as well, because the whole game would just be a sort of pushover. And I find that the combat is very interesting. It makes doing combat-based quests, fun. That's not to say, again, that this game allows you to progress without doing combat, as I've said in the past, is one of the big issues with MMOs. I wish this game would have went a little further and took a lot of inspiration from things like Ultima Online. I think that would have been really cool to see people selling and doing things like that, but Wildstar, give it a try, guys. Check it out. Watch some more beta footage. Head over to Twitch. There's a lot of people streaming the beta. The NDA was lifted about a week ago now, and if you're interested in the game, I'll have the website linked below. You can head over there. Just check it out. I mean, it has a lot of interesting concepts. The housing is something that I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm looking forward to very, very much. And I think the game has a lot of promise for this style of an MMO. I think it's worth playing if you're looking to get back into an MMO. And again, with that subscription system where you're going to be able to actually pay for your own subscription with in-game cash, I think anyone who got hooked on the game within the first month would find that, okay, this is going to be worth it for me. I'm going to be able to not even have to worry about my subscription. I'm already enjoying it. I'm going to play it actively. It's definitely worth checking out Wildstar, guys. I give it my seal of approval. If you're looking to play an MMO in the coming months, my personal opinion is skip Elder Scrolls Online. You're probably going to be a bit disappointed. It's just going to be Elder Scrolls The Ride. And head over to something new. Check out Wildstar and see what the game has to offer. That's going to do it for this one, guys. It's been Tony Mo, and I'll see you in the Nexus.
I literally saw it come out of the ground, and I thought its ass was its head. I mean, I thought... and I was just like... And then it starts coming towards me with the other side of it. And I was like, oh, what the fuck?
That's all part of its defense mechanism. It's got to keep you guessing.
I was like, why does it have feet that don't touch the ground? Oh, wait, those are hands.